Good morning, students. We are studying second chapter from hunting gathering to growing food of history, our pasts. Yesterday we started with this chapter. Let's do a quick recap of what we studied. First topic was the earliest people. Why were they on the move? The earliest people are the hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers who hunt and gather their food. They were always on the move. What were the reasons? We studied 4 reasons. First reason was when they had eaten up or consumed all the plant and animal resources of a certain region, they would move to other region in search of food. Second reason was they used to hunt for animals, and animals move from place to place. So to follow their movements, even they had to move from one place to another. Third reason was due to different seasons, certain plants and trees bear fruits in particular season only. So to get food during that season, they need to move around those places where there are trees which bear fruit in that particular season. And the fourth reason was they needed water to survive. So during dry seasons, that is during winter and summer, they would shift to a place or near a river or lake which has a perennial flow, that is, which has water throughout the year. Next topic was, how do we know about these people? How do we know about those hunter-gatherers? We get to know about them because archaeologists have found things which hunter-gatherers made and used. They made and used tools of stone, wood and bone, and from that stone tools survived best. And we also studied for what purpose stone tools were used. Now the next topic is choosing a place to live in. Where did the hunter-gatherers lived? Let's read about that. Here there is a map of some important archaeological sites. Sites are places where the remains of things like tools, pots, buildings, etc. were found. These were made, used and left behind by people. These may be found on the surface of the earth, buried under the earth, or sometimes even underwater. So in the map, the sites, archaeological sites of India are given. See the index. The triangles are Paleolithic sites, squares are Neolithic sites, circles are megalithic sites, diamond shape is for early village and stars are for modern cities. Paleolithic means, paleo means old and lithos means stone. So the name suggests that Paleolithic means the age of stone tools. Paleolithic period extends from 2 million years ago to about 12,000 years ago. After Paleolithic, there's Mesolithic. Mesolithic means Middle Stone Age. That is from the beginning of 12,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago. And after that, that is from 10,000 years ago, it is the Neolithic age or the New Stone Age. So in the map, can you point out the Paleolithic sites which has triangles? Let's see, it is Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh. Then we have Kurnul Caves and Hanski. Let's read about these. All the places marked with triangles are sites from which archaeologists have found evidence of hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers lived in many more places. Only some are shown on the map. Many sites were located near sources of water such as rivers and lakes. Let's see. Bhimbetka is near Narmada. Then Kurnul and Hanski are near Krishna. As stone tools were important, people tried to find places where good quality stone was easily available. It's quite a simple point, right? Here there is an image of Bhimbetka, the caves of Bhimbetka. Bhimbetka in present-day Madhya Pradesh. This is an old site with caves and rock shelters. People chose these natural caves because they provided shelter from the rain, heat and wind. These rock shelters are close to the Narmada Valley. Many of the caves in which these early people lived have paintings on the walls. Some of the best examples are from Madhya Pradesh and southern Uttar Pradesh. These paintings show wild animals drawn with great accuracy and skill. Now we know that hunter-gatherers used stone tools or did paintings because we found them on that sites. Let's see how we found out that these people also used fire. Find the Kurnul caves on map. It's near Krishna River in the south. Traces of ash have been found here. This suggests that people were familiar with the use of fire. Fire could have been used for many things, as a source of light, to roast meat, and to scare away animals. How do we know that hunter-gatherers used fire? Because traces of ash, after something has been burned, it turns to ashes. So traces of ash have been found there, and so we can know that those people were familiar with the use of fire. What did they use fire for? They used for many things, like as a source for light. They In those days there were no electricity. They will get light only from fire or from the night sky. Then to roast meat, to cook the animals that they hunted, and to scare away animals. At night, when they are in their shelter, if they kept a fire burning, animals will be kept away. They will be scared away with it. What we studied till now was from 2 million years ago to 12,000 years ago. That is the age of hunter-gatherers. Around 12,000 years ago, there were major changes in the climate of the world with a shift to relatively warm conditions. In many areas, this led to the development of grasslands. This in turn led to an increase in the number of deer, antelope, goat, sheep and cattle, that is animals that survived on grass. So what happened around 12,000 years ago? That there was a change in the climatic conditions. And what was that change? That the climate changed or shifted to relatively warm conditions. When there is enough warmth, it led to development of grass, and as the grasslands increased, animals that fed on grass, animals like the grass eating animals like deer, antelope, goat and sheep and cattle also, they also increased. So you might have watched the movie Ice Age. In that, the kinds of animals were different, but due to warmer conditions, the animals like given here, the grass eating animals also they increased. Those who hunted these animals now followed them, learning about their food habits and their breeding seasons. It is likely that this helped people to start thinking about herding and rearing these animals themselves. Fishing also became important. Now, uh, due to warmer conditions, the grasslands increased. Because of that, grass-eating animals increased. Now, the people who hunted these animals now followed them, and while following, what did they learn? Their food habits and their breeding seasons. Breeding seasons like when they take rest and give birth to new child, to their child. So they learned about it, and while they were following them, they started thinking like even they can herd these animals. animal herding means people who take care of that group of animals. So they started herding and rearing these animals themselves, rearing to make certain changes in the conditions in a way that animals can give birth to the young ones. So that way animal herding and animal rearing started. People started doing that themselves, and fishing also became important. The beginning of farming and herding. This was also a time when several grain-bearing grasses, including wheat, barley, and rice, grew naturally in different parts of the subcontinent. Men, women, and children probably collected these grains as food and learned where they grew and when they ripened. This may have led them to think about growing plants on their own. In this way, people became farmers. Earlier we studied that how they started. Instead of just hunting animals, they started animal rearing and animal herding. Now how did they started farming? Like during that same time when the grasslands increased, there were several grain bearing grasses including wheat, barley and rice. Even these grains grew naturally in different parts of the subcontinent. Men, women and children, they started collected these grains as food and learned where they grew, in which region these grains can be grown, and when they ripened, when they were ready to be collected and eat. Due to this, they might have thought about growing plants on their own, and in this way, people became farmers. People could also attract and then tame animals by leaving food for them near their shelters. The first animal to be tamed was the wild ancestor of the dog. Later, people encouraged animals that were relatively gentle to come near the camps where they lived. These animals, such as sheep, goat, cattle, and also the pig, lived in herds and most of them ate grass. Often, people protected these animals from attacks by other wild animals. This is how they became herders. Now, people learned that certain animals were not frightened of human presence, or they were not harmful to the human beings. So people started to attract them and tame them, to domesticate them by leaving food for them. The first animal to be tamed was the wild ancestor of the dog. The dogs were the first animal to be domesticated. Later, people encouraged animals that were relatively gentle to come near the camps where they lived. So, they even encouraged animals. How do we encourage animals? By giving them food. So that way, they came near the camps where they lived. And these animals were sheep, goat, cattle and also pig, which lived in herds, which were not wild animals, which were really quiet, and most of them ate grass. So people protected these animals from other wild animals, and that is how they became herders. That's all for today. Next week when I have the social class, I want you to go through these two presentations or these two videos once again. We'll continue in the next class. Bye.